Good morning, and thank you for supporting me. This is my first class, so bear with me. Click.
No, it's not working from here. Turn it off. On the side. Oh, did we turn it off?
The next picture is a sunset in Hawaii where my daughter is.
Is it working? Okay.
Yeah, so this is the morning she wakes up to every day, so it's very nice. As you know, I have been with ChristianaCare 11 years now. I did not come from the healthcare industry. I came from Walmart in management. Before that, I was a teacher. I love what I do, and today we're going to learn how we can help those techs take some of that stress off. Do a lot of things that some people think, oh, I didn't know we could, separate that and help them. So Blake, would you like to say anything more about you?
No.
Okay. But
This is
pretty much everybody knows Blake, and he's a great supporter.
I just want to mention that. So Theresa started off as an admin, is my administrative assistant.
That's at the end.
Okay, sorry.
These are some of the people we work with. I keep a good eye on them. This is our Wilmington crew, and this is my job to support every one of them in every day of what they're doing. Blake came up with this solution provider, and a couple of years ago, he decided to put it on our sleeves. Well, don't you know, we really took that to heart. Every one of our technicians are that solution provider. Our technicians go into radiology, MRI. One of our caregivers will say, oh, this wheelchair, the wheel's broken. Can you help me out? And of course, Pete will say, sure, give me a few minutes. Well, that's not really our job, but we're going to take care of it because it's an easy fix. It's something that we can do. If we go into the lab and there's a bigger refrigerator, our technicians will go in, I can't do this, but you know what? Let me get facilities on the phone. Let me get HVAC, and let's expedite this for you. So giving that extra call from department to department really seems to help our caregivers, our nurses, and each department that we go into, even our off-sites. A lot of our off-sites are managed by property management, so they don't use the same people we do. But if we're out there, we can help them. I even have our sterilizers working on pools. A lot of the therapies have pools in there, and they're like, oh, our system went down. Can you send someone? Can you help? Yes, we can do that.
What I like to just add is the one thing that we don't want to do is when somebody calls us is we say no, or that's not our job. Is, we personally can't do this, but let us help you get somebody. What that also does is it brings, we become the solution provider. We are the ones that they call for help because they know we're gonna help them. Whereas they'll call somebody else and they'll go, can't help you, so what do I do? I don't know. No, we're not gonna do that for them. So.
And the very nice thing about working in clinical engineering, our expectation is to get back to someone by sundown, which is a term that I steal from Walmart. But within that 24-hour period, make sure you get back to them. Tell them you're working on them. Let them know you're acknowledging them. They really appreciate acknowledgement. So giving that and letting them know, hey, I got it. We're working on it. Let's see what we can do. And giving them multiple solutions to help them out really makes them happy and easier to work with. This is a quote that I really like. No matter how brilliant your mind or strategy, if you're playing a solo game, you're always going to lose to a team. You get so much more done by stepping in and helping. And the one thing I love about my technicians, they could be working on an omni bed and they're struggling. They can't figure out the alarm's still going off. A technician will be walking by, excuse me, hey, did you try this? And then all of a sudden, you have 4 people working on one device just to get it back up to the NICU, which is really, really nice to see. The breakdown of clinical engineering. We have 4 major teams. In those teams, you're going to start with our leadership. We're going to have a supervisor for each one of them. My team I have 2 part-time people that work on the front end with me, and I also have a parts person. Then you go to the inspector team. This is the very beginning of it. Blake, you want to break down on how you develop the inspectors?
So we have a team of 4 folks that they are not biomeds. They are mechanically inclined folks, typically do not have a college degree, have not gone to any formal electronics training. We bring them in and they do the PMs on all our high volume, low acuity equipment, IV pumps, whatever, right? And so they spend their time during the day doing that. I mean, we have 5,000 IV pumps. That's not a biomed to sit there and turn an IV pump. So, but what it also, it's twofold, is it is also a feeder into my biomed team. So we get them, we train them, we teach them, we send them to electronics. They get the you know, whether they go to the local community college or we do a correspondence course, whatever it is, we go through, we get them trained up, and then we bring them in. More than half of my team of biomeds of 13 came from this route right there. The imaging team, we also do the same thing for our biomeds. So when more than half my team, my supervisor of imaging started off as a biomed 1, went to biomed 3, and now is the supervisor and actually my manager of quality and quality control. So we are ISO 9001. She manages all of that, and so we bring them in from the inside. It's the best way to do it. In you build team loyalty by doing that as well.
And this is part of our team. The very next step is getting to know your technicians, you know, knowing what they can work on, you know, creating a spreadsheet of their modalities. So when you get that call, you can quickly look who's primary, who's secondary, you know, who can do this the quickest with the knowledge. You know, we have a merge system up in HVIS, and I always thought, oh, only one person can do that because that's very complicated. It's up in HVIS, it's stat all the time. Come to find out, and I always thought it was over in imaging. It's not, it's a biomed. It's, you know, a monitor with cuffs and other cable things. And all of our biomeds have been trained on to do it. So it's nice that now I know the merge, everyone can do it. It's not just a Roger thing. You know, I have other technicians to do that.
No, I just want to mention one thing over here is, like, see the work schedule, 4th one down. Something that we do is we do not have a set schedule at work. Is the technicians, they set their schedule. They tell us when they're going to be there. We don't want it to change frequently, you know, but they come in there. It's like I have a lot of early risers. They want to get in there at 6 a.m., be gone by 2 o'clock. I have others that have families, have other issues. They want to come in at 9 or 10, work till 6. Guess what that does? It helps me. It keeps my shop hours open earlier to later. Our phones are always ringing. We always have stuff coming down, but it gives them quality of life, family life, and I get what I need out of it too. But I can't have everyone at 6 a.m. So there is a limit to that, but anyway.
And going back to the modalities, you know, there's a new device that come in. No one's trained on it. Well, the nurses get trained on it. Well, how are we going to repair it? And that's something that Blake tries to do, as soon as we get that device, add in that training when it comes to the contractor, the initial buy-in, and getting that tech trained on it empowers Blake to get more in-house people. The more we're trained, the more we can do, the more we can help, which is great. And Blake had already talked about the work schedule. You know, I have people that like to come in early. I have people that, no, don't call me until 9, I'll be in. Family life, very important. Family comes first at Christiana. We know we all have our different struggles. We can't always balance both at the same time, but you need the time, you need a different schedule. Well, let's figure it out. So helping that technician, again, taking that stress off of them is very, very helpful. And I think that's, you know, why we have such a great team. Here's my team, real life picture of their messy desk. Very challenging. They bring back things and someone comes into the office, oh, I need this for a procedure now. No warning, hey, here comes, we need to do this equipment check. They'll stop and do it. But looking at this, there's so much going on. There's so much that they need to do constantly, you know? So can I take a phone call away from them? Can I, you know, send out the emails to get the RMAs? Let me talk to the vendor and get them set up. And when they have everything unpackaged and ready, then let's bring the biomed or the other technician in to help them, giving them more time to turn that wrench, to help the caregiver and actually get to know the different departments where they're working.
Notice the window in the basement, because we're in the basement next to the morgue, right, where everybody else is, right? So they have to have their little shiny space.
Yes, I ended up putting a couple windows in there because I'm like, this is just ivory walls and blue walls. And if you put a sticker up on the wall, okay, there's the palm tree, there's my sunlight, I'm okay. A lot of the things that my team supports these guys with is, you get a work order, come in. I can't go to 4E. You know what? I have Samantha, I have Adam. Go up and get that device, you know. So I created a hunt every week. So any work order that comes in, if it hasn't made its way down, Samantha and Adam are going out looking for those devices, from small things to large towers, bringing them down to that technician. That saves so much time from them wandering the halls. You know, I'd rather them be at the bench where I know where you are and I know you can fix things. Let my Samantha and Adam go find things. When it's done, let them take it back. They know the hospital. Samantha and Adam know the hospital much better than I do. And I like to stay in my square. And when I get out, I'm like, yeah, I'm lost. 11 years later, yep, I still get lost in the hospital.
So to mention, so she mentioned Samantha and Adam. Samantha and Adam are two special needs folks that we got from, the hospital has a program called Project Search, which we help. The hospital has you know, every, like school. They come in like school and they learn a skill. And so we cycle folks through all the time, which Theresa actually runs that for us. And then we have the opportunity to bring 2 in permanently, but part-time. And so that's who Adam helps out primarily in our parts side. He likes to count. He likes to do that. So what better place to put him than in my parts room? And Samantha, she's a wanderer. So we send her out looking for equipment. And we use the best of them to help us achieve what we need to do. And Theresa runs them pretty well. So.
And with Samantha, I just create a spreadsheet for her, we have towers in our hospital. So I'm like, all right, everything's in this tower, this tower, this tower, break it up for that. And she'll just go up and down and bring the things along. Adam has been a huge asset in keeping our parts inventory and the counts accurate and good for our technicians. Our technicians are getting to change to look into our CMMS and to say, oh, that's where that part is. Or they use Adam as a resource. Hey, Adam, I need this widget. Adam's like, oh yeah, that's an A12 right there. He's really good with that.
So the CESC means Clinical Engineering Service Coordinator. Okay, so that is Theresa and her job. It's more of a job now versus a person. But by taking all of these things off of the work, off the technicians, they're turning a wrench. They're more productive. The more they turn a wrench, the more we get fixed, the more we get in and out of the door, and the faster we do it.
And so many cables get broken and they come down. We get bunches and bunches. And that's where Adam and Sam will go into the parts room and they'll find that cable, send it back. My technician never has to touch a broken cable. What are they going to do with a broken cable other than go find one? So that's saving them time, taking it away from them, giving them more time to do other things instead of the little things that we can do for them. Devices for RMA. Boy, I love Philips, but you sit on the phone for a good 45 minutes with Philips. Philips does the Billy checks and they are very thorough. You talked about 3 different people and it's like, just give me that RMA so I can send it back to you to get repaired. You know, so I'll take that Billy check and I will get the RMA. I create the purchase order so it goes through our doc fine, and then I assign it to the tech. So when it does come back, because I am not that technician. Sometimes I don't like touching things, you know, but they can validate what that vendor does so they can have when it comes back, and that's time. They don't have to follow up on it. I'm sitting at my desk. I'm following up on that work order. I'm putting notes in there. You know, the PM10s, they have a 10-year, a 5-year warranty on them. You know, so I send them out for free, you know, and if it's not, then it's a little fee that comes back and the technician never has to touch anything because it tells you what it's going to do.
Like go ahead.
The Welch Allen 692s, Adam and Sam love working on them because when you go into the error codes, it tells you what the problem is, you know, so they'll change out the battery, they'll change out the probe, and then reset it, put it back on the dock and send it back up to where it needs to go. The technicians don't have to mess with that. You know, our TOCOs, they're very inexpensive to send out. So we send them out because most of the time it's not the device, it's the cable, and you can't like unplug it. You got to send the whole unit out. So it's an easy RMA, call it in, send it out. Our blenders, we have so many of them. We have over 200 of them in our hospital. Our group of inspectors will literally switch them out. We have a spare of like 60. So we change out 60 one month, send those out. They come back, they got to be tested. So they'll go back to the inspectors, but I'm boxing them up, I'm shipping them. That takes that away from the techs too. And our lovely Posey that just loves to alarm and get squished in the bed. Once it gets squished, you can't fix it. There's nothing. And good enough for Christiana. They're very inexpensive. They're under $100. So it's pretty much throwing it out and finding another one for them. Our Seacrest blenders, ours are about 30 years old and we couldn't find anyone to fix them. We found a vendor that said, yeah, it's the same parts as the new ones. Give it to me and let me try. So thanks to our OEMs for taking that responsibility and figuring it out for me.
Isn't that guy back there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Our breast pumps that gets used in maternity that get rented. I don't want my techs doing that because that's just an RMA. They're rented. We don't do anything to it. So just box it up, send it out quick.
Well, she's saying rented, but it's like the consumable reagent rental kind of thing. You know, we get them by the consumables.
you know, so there's so much of these things. I prefer my high-end biomed not to be touching. Our vendors, some of the things that I will take care and manage is clinical engineering also takes care of our employee gyms, along with all of our physical therapy areas, our stress test,
Q stress machines,
yes,
the treadmill side.
yes. I have over 600 devices. I have a vendor that comes in, PMs them, gives me a spreadsheet. I don't need my tech to sit at a bench and just complete work orders. Between me and my team, we'll get those accomplished. Our autoclaves, I don't need my vendor, my sterilizer team to do them when it's inexpensive to send it out to a vendor. And there's no loss of time because they'll give us a free loaner. They take it, do the PM, bring it back.
She's talking the tabletop guys, not the
The
inset ones.
M9s,
Yeah,
M11s.
M9s, yeah.
Yep. Microscopes. Whew, we have two different types of microscopes. One is the little one that goes in the labs. The other ones are the ginormous ones. So again, it's working on spreadsheeting. You know, all this comes back as a spreadsheet to me on what was done, which ones failed. So I take that on and I close those work orders, and anything that gets failed, they're the items. So we'll have 5 or 10 that get failed out of the 700 that we have. That is what I'm giving to my biomed, not the other 690.
So the exercise equipment, when she mentioned that we do the gyms, I saw a couple people kind of go, like why? So it's the same equipment that's in cardiac rehab, right? Same stuff, right? But when we went and looked into the gyms, when my techs would come in and go, man, the equipment in the gyms are just nasty. You know, the seats are all cracked and all this. Like, why not? I'm just like, well, why don't we do that? It's not really that much more expensive. Yeah, there's a lot of more pieces, but man, I tell you, the caregiver experience when they walk into our gyms, because our gyms, our employee gyms are free to our employees. So they go in, we got like 5 or 6 of them, you know, and there's some fairly good sized ones, but the equipment needs to be maintained, you know, so it's like, let's just take that on. And the people who run the gyms were like, oh my, you know, thank you. We appreciate that, because it's really not that much more. And just finding the right vendor to keep up with it, because you know, they're not used to having to come in and do that big a job, but they do manage it well, and Theresa manages it.
Yeah, and our gym exercise, we get done 3 times a year just to keep the dust and the grit out of the gears. And that is the biggest component, is just keeping it clean, because you never really, I never really thought how dirty a treadmill would get until you saw underneath the deck. Yuck.
And so, you know, not going to go down the AEM path, but this is one area where, because the manufacturer says, hey, let's just do it once a year. We found that if we do it three times a year, our repairs just went down to almost nothing. Oof.
So this here, creating a spreadsheet of your modalities. This is what I was talking about earlier. This is what I give to anyone who's answering the phone. Even our telephone operators have this for our biomeds, our imaging, and our sterilizers. So when that work order comes in, I can see who's going to be first, you know, and some of the modalities that you have, they're all trained in, which is good. So whoever's at the bench, they're going to get that. And the nice thing about our system is we can refresh, because we have a Kronos integration. We can tell who's here and who's not here. Doesn't mean that they're here at the Newark campus. They could be at our other 157 other offsites, you know, but I know who's on the clock and who I can give things to, and hopefully it matches on one of those. I found when I started, this was gold, because I didn't know. you know, so knowing the modalities and what they can do and who to assign it helped me assign those work orders, because we get about 70 work orders easy in a day. Knowing your asset types, and I'm working on that still. The PM frequency, how often are we going out to the different areas? Yesterday in the leadership learned data integrity, huge. It's an everyday job. You have so many hands into your system. You can only lock down so much before they can continue doing their work. So trying to keep and going through, making sure that all our thermometers are all the same asset type, knowing when your PM is at that offsite. So you're going out to, say, New Jersey once. You're not going out there multiple times. Yes, I might be sending different teams to do there, but most of my offsites and different devices are all done by our inspectors, which we have 4 of them. Our inspectors do anywhere from 400 to 700 PMs every month. Yes, there are some things that we do have to be put on hold, but it's very, very minimal. They get that job done because of the way we've set up and created and say, we're going to Smyrna once, let's do all that PMs in the day or the 2 days to get it done. This is my parts room. This is my new parts person, Vanessa. She is phenomenal. I love her. We have all of our parts that are high frequency on this wall. That wall, you can walk it, you can see it and say, hey, we need to order this. We have another wall on this side that's all of our blood pressure, because they're the most common things people come down. They're looking for a cable, they're looking for that blood pressure that broke, and it's easy to look at, get it, and move on. And Vanessa does a very nice job maintaining that. With being able to do this, our Christiana Clinical Engineering is ISO 9001 certified. And I'll let Blake talk about the certification.
Yep. So part of being ISO 9001 certified is you have to have core areas of expertise, right? Well, we order a whole lot of parts. And when you order the parts, you have to store the parts, you have to coordinate the parts. And so what we have developed is a hybrid between using our CMMS and what's called the Kanban system. I don't know if you all have heard that or not, but that's what this is right here. So right here are little cards that have the number that we should have in there, the number that should be par, and then the reorder point, right? So as they use up these in here, the technician says, all right, now I'm down to 3 in here. The card says I need 3. It's very easily read by them right there. So they just pick the card up, drop it in that little yellow bucket right there, and then Vanessa orders those parts. And then they come in, they pull the card, they put the parts in, Adam does. Barcode scans them so that they can be scanned when we get to that point, because we're working on getting to where we can barcode everything, scan everything in and out, right? And then we, you know, that's where Adam sits, so that they get ordered and put through here. And as Theresa said, that all down, all down on this side of the room is a whole bunch of different Vidmar cabinets and the old file cabinets that used to have, you know, that they would roll. We have them filled with parts now. So we used to have, that was our library. We don't need a library anymore. So now we turned it into our parts room. And with our ISO 9001, that really helps us keep our parts segmented. One of the things that you have to do with ISO with the parts is you have to segment your brand new from your known good, your known used, your known bad, or your unknown. And you have to segment them out and keep them running. And so that was a big benefit to us, because, you know, it's something we try to do, but our techs are hoarders, right? They like to hoard stuff, tuck them away, put them in their drawer, do whatever. We can't do that to be ISO 9001, because when they come in and do the audit, they see a bucket full of parts on somebody's desk. That's a no-no. We can't do that. So we have to segment them and put them out. And it actually is a huge benefit, because now when technician A says, hey, I need this part, and I knew we had one down here because we just scavenged it off of this other device, but technician B took it off and put it in his desk. Now we can't find it, so now I have to order one, right? Whereas now we have it all out in the open, segmented, inventoried, and tracked. And that's a huge benefit, a huge efficiency that we got more out of it than we actually thought we were gonna do.
And, oh, go back. Thank you. When the parts go into the work order, it's taken out of our inventory. Part Source offers us a lot of reports that Vanessa uses, I use. We get them, I think, quarterly.
Mhm.
So in this report, there's one section that I love. There's one report that tells you, hey, you ordered DS100A. You ordered them 11 times. Do you know you could have saved over $100 just in shipping, let alone a bigger discount because we ordered a larger quantity, but making sure you have room to store it. You know, so yes, I have this parts room, but I also, on the things that are high volume, we use a lot, and I'm only looking at 3 months ahead. I want to keep 3 months of parts available. I do have a rack that we will use for overstock. That overstock rack is also inventory. So if someone's taken something out of there, they still got to put it in their work order. They still got to consume that part within our process. There are other things that say, hey, you're only using 11 of these, why'd you order 50? You know, so we don't, and it also helps us with that, saying, you have too many here. Why are we ordering that? So we'll decrease that quantity by the help of Part Source and their reporting, and it saves us a little bit of time of creating that report. It's done for us every quarter by using them.
Going back to the ISO 9001 and with Part Source is we buy about 85% or more of our parts by volume through Part Source. The reporting that Part Source gives us, as I was talking about the ISO 9001, is we can use the reports that they give us to support our ISO 9001 certification, because it tells us how many, like parts did we receive that were out of the box bad? How many did we have to ship back? Why did we ship them back? Were they bad when we got them? Was it my tech ordered the wrong thing? What was it? You have to report on all of this stuff. And so this data helps me keep our ISO certification based on what Part Source does for us and the reporting that they give. So again, another piece of efficiency that helps us run smoother, easier, and faster.
And this is another one of my favorite reports that I get from Part Source. These are core exchanges. Sometimes they just don't happen. Our technicians get so busy, they forget to send back that part. Well, guess what? Now we have an extra fee. We got to create a new PO. So I decided to come up with this great big green sticker. When that part comes in and there's a core exchange, it's something visual for our techs to see. Hey, you got to send something back. Whether it's the board, whether it's the tube, whatever it is, I have this great big green sticker that Vanessa will put on when that part comes in. So the new part gets that great big green sticker, hoping that we can help the techs. Yep, I got to pull it back. Surprisingly, that some of the techs will order a part they didn't know they did an exchange, because there are some boards that you can send back for a lesser cost, but instead of buying it outright, they're looking at cost savings. Oh, it's only $400 here instead of paying $17, but they missed that it was an outright. So having this sticker helps them, and they'll come up to us and say, why'd you put the sticker on here? I said, because Part Source says that it's an outright, you need to send that trinket back. Okay, so it helps us a lot. What are some of the benefits of the things that we're doing for our techs? They're not standing around. They're going out there. They're doing stuff. You know, they are, I think the biggest thing that I've gotten back from our techs is they thank me, but they also have time to learn another element. They have time to spend, okay, I have an anesthesia thing. It might be event. Oh, I don't work on that. I just do Apollo and Mindray. Well, now they have time. Hey, show me this. You know, it's still in my same area. Show me it. What do I need to do? And I love the engagement within our team. You know, there's some people that, you know, George is imaging, but he'll go back and help, you know, if they're struggling with something. You know, building those relationships with the departments is very helpful. And we, not to say we get less calls, but because we're out there with our departments, we do get less calls because we're there. They see us, hey, can you come look at this? Yes, that tech still needs to put in that work order. And I will remind them, even when they're on call, hey, you came in, where's that work order? I didn't see it. You know, so they get it done for us.
One thing I'd like to mention when we're talking about the tax is, so we have biomed 1, 2, and then senior biomed. And the senior biomed is more than just a title or a pay grade. It is what they are charged to do, which is, remember I told you about the inspectors? They're there to help train them, get them up to speed. The biomed 1s and the biomed 2s get them up to speed. So by taking the workload or the little nitnoid stuff off of them, they have the time to train to do this. You can't say, oh, I'm too busy, I don't have time to talk with you, or, you know, train you up on how to work on one of these Howard carts or whatever it is. So they have that opportunity, and that then builds the competencies within the shop, and then gets them trained up on more stuff.
And one other thing I want to say about doing the PMs with our senior biomeds is that our inspectors, if they find a device, hey, we're just cleaning this device. We don't really need to do the PM on it. Well, let's validate this. Let's pull the manual. Let's look at it. But that inspector is working with a senior biomed to make sure that decision is right. And it gets cataloged and it gets put on the model on the evidence that they have, and we'll AEM that device out. A way to achieve your own success is to be willing to help somebody else get it first. It's always promoting up, pushing that next person, giving them that encouragement. The next hat that I use is Marketplace, and my vendor OEM, Mike, is a great supporter of this. They came up with it with a lot of tweaks from me. So I get wonderful thoughts, and I'll say, hey, Mike, do you think you could do this? So there are departments that say, hey, I no longer need this baby scale. We were throwing out, we were so wasteful with so much stuff that when this came about, I think, oh, this is what Facebook does. We can do this for ChristianaCare. So we started putting pictures and a description of assets. Things that if you are a caregiver in Christiana, it is no cost to you to get this. It's relocating that exam bed. Someone else had the budget and they purchased a new bed. We check it out before it goes back out to a different department. But we have a lot of school areas that have nurses in them. They didn't have the funding. So coming up with this, it was amazing at the numbers of requests. We started this in 2022. Hold on, I'm gonna get my right numbers. In 2022, when we first started, we got 346 requests. We saved $192,000 for without buying new stuff. It's just relocating it. This year, we're still not done. In 2024, Jennersville, one of our hospitals, decided we're just going to tear it down. Let's get everything out of it. So we put all that stuff on Marketplace. Wow, did it go fast. We had over 618 requests, over 1,000 devices that went from Jennersville or other areas that went back into our system. That was good stuff, from furniture, assets, office stuff. We are now at a savings of 1.6 million by doing this program, and our caregivers love it. They love shopping on it. My one ED, he has a very small office. Every time he puts a request in, I'm like, where are you putting it? Oh, I got to help this area. So he's finding things for other people. He was like, go to Marketplace. It's on there. We can find it. You know, so this has been an extremely successful.
The funny part about this program is when we started it, it was focused on medical equipment only. And then our facilities director said, hey, what about furniture? It's like, what about furniture? I don't want to deal with furniture. That's our biggest draw. The furniture savings and buying furniture, relocating furniture, desks, lamps, pictures, artwork. Oh my God, that's the majority of what we have now is furniture relocations, and it's no cost to them to move this stuff. And we absorb that in our budget that we put in for this place, but it's crazy. And then Theresa was talking about Jennersville. It's a hospital that we bought. It closed down. Tower Health closed it down. We bought it about a year later with everything that was left inside of it. And then we just started, then they decided to, you know, it's cheaper to tear it down and build it back up than it is to rehab the whole thing. So they said, we're going to just buy all new stuff at the end because it's not going to be till like 2027. This was like a year and a half ago. So this stuff's just going to sit there and rot unless we just get it out and reuse it. So that's what we did, and a lot of furniture and a lot of stuff that came out of there, and it's been a boon to us. So if you have the opportunity to create a program like this, find a trusted vendor and do it. Or there's a guy here, it's called OEM Medical. He'll help you.
And one of the things is, you know, I took all the pictures off the wall at Jennersville. I'm like, oh. I know. And Blake's like, what are you going to do with pictures? People are going to want them. We had 187 pictures. We have 3 left. Our caregivers loved it. And on the front of the site, my PowerPoint was too big, so I had to cut it down. So there's a couple pages I didn't put. But we have instructions for our caregiver to give them the resource to add their devices, their furniture with a picture on there. So they don't just have me. They can go on, add the asset, add the accessory, and then it gets picked up from their department within 30. If it doesn't get selected, we'll go around, take it out of their area, store it, or recycle it depending on the condition of it. And it's also helped clinical engineering. They've gotten a lot of different chairs out of the things. So I want you to think of some of the takeaways that you can take with you today. You know, who do you have in your office that has a little bit of extra time, that can get on the phone for your techs and call for that RMA? Who can take on that vendor, get them set up, let them get that device ready to be put out on the floor, and then the technician can come in, inventory it, check it out, make sure it's all good to go. Who can help with scheduling them PMs? Who has that little bit of extra time? That little bit extra time you're saving that tech is a godsend to them. They appreciate it.
You don't?
Yeah. You know, by adding this and doing everything that I do, I went from just being Blake's admin, taking care of his schedule, taking care of his whatever he needs. I've developed my job that I just love. And it's I went from the clinical engineering service coordinator to a supervisor of my operation team. I didn't really even talk about how I'm always in their business, so when they're doing that work order, if it sat too long, yeah, I'm gonna go stand by your desk. Hey, how we doing on this work order? Can we get it moving again? Or, hey, you have 29 open work orders. Why? Are you working all 29? I see some are back from February. Can we close it? And they'll have all the notes in there. They just didn't hit resolve. So getting them to do that. And there's different things that we do. We love to eat in clinical engineering. So I like to come up and feed them, and it makes them very happy. And there's other times that we're promoting clinical engineering by doing safety awareness or just sitting out in front of the cafeteria, because it's surprising how many people still don't know what clinical engineering is. So educating the hospital that you're in by sitting up a table and say, hey, we can do this for you. Did you know? Did you know we did this and this and this? So it's very helpful.
Theresa mentioned about the food it's so inexpensive when you look at the long term of your technicians. It's really not a lot of money. The little things that you can do, like we provide the K-cup of, I think we probably got like 20 different flavors of coffee. We provide sodas, chips, snacks, muffins, things like that, because it's very easy for them to walk out of the department, go to the vending machine and spend an hour out of the department. Okay. I want them in the department. I want them working. So I provide that stuff for them because they get hungry during the day. You need something. So you provide it, and it really isn't that much money, and it provides them a whole lot of satisfaction, which keeps them working, keeps them running, and keeps them in the department turning a wrench. Any questions?
Now it's time for you guys to have questions.
So there is, but the problem that we run into is it's not necessarily our issue with especially that it's the equipment room, because they're centrally managed and sent out to PAR, is their ability to clean and turn. It's not necessarily my ability to maintain and get them out, right? I'm not the bottleneck. It's the equipment room that's the bottleneck. And because an IV pump is, the Alaris pumps have a pretty extensive cleaning process that you have to do to them, and it really drags it out. I mean, if you were to take one pump and set it in front of you, the exact timing from start to finish is like 30 minutes, right? But now, obviously, you got to line up a whole bunch, and you run them through that way, but it adds a lot of time. So that's a big choke point on that. And a lot of the other equipment, you just can't go up and wipe it down. There is a much deeper thing, and our infection prevention in our hospital is right on it, man. I mean, they're rounding and they're auditing and they're checking, so you can't get away with just wiping it with a PDI and moving away. So that ends up being our choke point at that point.
And I think the other part of it is our PAR levels aren't exactly good for some of the areas, because the ED will have a clean room. There's like 10 that haven't been touched in a long time that just sit there. Is getting the eyes on where the departments store them, hide them, hoard them, because they never want to be without, but keeping it in the process and having that assurance, yeah, you're going to have that device, but you don't need to keep these 10 here all the time.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, first, thank you, Theresa. It's great. I love that you have the right people doing the right work. Question with the satisfaction and the time you've saved. I loved your slide about the matrix, if you will, of who's trained on what. Have you been able to take this opportunity to build like a training matrix so that you can guide the development department as well?
Yep, we have what's called an integrated service plan. where we have taken all of the all of the devices that we have, what's under contract, what's not under contract, what level of contract, and then taking it as to who's trained on what stuff that's not under contract, or even if it is under, say, a first look, parts only kind of thing, how that is all built out, when these are rolling off, all of this, and then what training, who, all of this, and we lay it all out. So yeah, we didn't talk about that on this, but yeah, we do have, but it's an integrated service plan. Yeah. I borrowed shamelessly from someone else, but yes. Yeah. But yeah, yeah, because as I don't steal information, I borrow it shamelessly. And I mean, one time I was in the Navy, I retired from the Navy, and the Surgeon General said, if someone is doing something really well, use it. Take it, use it, make it your own. Adjust it, because why rebuild? Reinvent the wheel when someone's doing something really well. So that's I'm not smart enough to think up all of this stuff, right? I mean, so I have to use what other people are doing, the good things, rely on vendors, different things like that to help us gain what we're trying to do.
Yes, sir.
So all your time you spend, like 20 minutes, 40 minutes on the phone with the RMAs and whatever, do you document that on the work order for that device?
Absolutely. Anything that I'm doing to a device, I'm adding my own time charge to it. And then if I do something wrong, it's still the tech that's coming back. Hey, you forgot to put the PO number on here, or, when was this tracking sent out if I didn't do something right? They're still ultimately responsible for that work order, even though they know I'm helping them and working with them to get that accomplished.
The first part of your talk, you were talking about, wheelchair there, you take time to fix that. Do you account for all that time?
Yes.
Most of the time, I mean, what Teresa's saying, so most of the time we'll refer them to the proper area, or we will take the ticket and then transfer the ticket over. Our CMMS, we have the ability to take a clinical engineering, turn it into an IT ticket or a facilities ticket or whatever. That's what typically we'll do. And then when we transfer a ticket, they'll get notified of it, that we have that, or we'll tell them on the phone, hey, that's not us, but we'll take the ticket and we'll transfer it for you. Where we do help them is some of the gray area stuff, like in the MRI suite, the lighting in the MRI suite. Our facilities group says we don't have the right tools to walk in there and change the light. Well, we have the right tools, so we end up changing the lights and things like that in there, which really is out of our scope in many ways, but we'll help them with that. And really the majority of it is we'll help them if it's something real quick and small, but otherwise we refer them to the right department and we make the contact for them and we push it to them and where it needs to go.
Because sometimes that caregiver gets frustrated because they don't know where to go.
Right.
So, and I get so many calls. I know this isn't you, but I know you got an answer for me. Where can I get this vent clean? It's dropping stuff. It's leaking. Okay, I'll put the work order in. Tell me what it's close to. I'll put the work order in for you and I'll send it off to facilities. So
I would rather the folks call us and us to divert them to where it needs to be versus them not calling us at all. Because now we are their solution provider. We are there to help them, and it builds our reputation within the organization to be that one that they can lean on at any time. And I'd rather them do that than not talk to me at all.